I'd like to introduce the first seminar. The speaker will be the Miss Shoko Baba from Hakkaisan Brewery. Hakkaisan Brewery located in the Niigata Prefecture in Japan, and they brew the sake. So nice sake, but she is a specialist for the fermentation. So she will speak about the fermentation. Also, she will talk about the amazake, which very popular drinks in Japan right now. So there's a lot of good information, and I'm sure you guys enjoy it. So please enjoy the seminar.
Thank you, thank you so much. My name is Shoko from Hakkaisan. I'm actually a sake sales rep for a European country, but America is not my market. But now we were launching this amazake drink in the United States, so I'm actually overseeing all the amazake sale outside of Japan. So the topic is amazake, but before we going into what amazake is all about, I want to talk about what's fermentation. And I think a lot of you heard the fermentation a lot, but exactly do you know how it is happening? Bacteria activity, the biological activity of bacteria is the fermentation. So what it is that as a human being, we eat maybe 2-3 times a day. So in any given moment, we will go to the bathroom and just, release something, right? And bacteria does exactly the same thing. Eat something and take something out. So anything that comes out from the bacteria is good for our body is a fermentation. And if it's not working for us, it's a rotten. So for the bacteria, it's the exact same activity it's doing. And so how we determine what is fermentation is a rotten is our food culture. So for instance, in Japan, we have a food called natto. Anybody know natto? I think everybody knows kind of natto. It's a stinky fermented beans. And when you pick it up, it's just the strings comes out. It's so gross for the people who don't know what's natto is all about. But we love it. I eat at least once in a day, but not during the sake making time because it's really, really strong bacteria, so we cannot bring it into our brewery. Anyway, so on the other side, there is some fermentation food that I cannot take, which is like, let's say, kiwiak. Have you heard of the food kiwiak? It is a mostly eaten by the very, very north part of United States or Canada, like Inuit people, Eskimo people, or like people in Alaska. So what is kiwiak? So the Inuit people will go out and hunt the sea cow and open the stomach and get all the gut out from the sea cow and replace the seagull, the birds that are flying around, neatly placed into the gut and stitch it out and bury it under the ground and then let them sit for 2-3 years and dig them out, open the stomach and then take the one bird out. So all the gut of the bird after 2-3 years under the ground, it gets liquefied because of this bacteria working. It's a fermentation. And so the liquefied bacteria eaten by from the anus of the bird. That's the kiwiak. And that sounds super, super gross, but not for the Inuit people. So nothing is really different between our natto to the kiwiak. So the first person who discovered bacteria is Antoine van Leeuwenhoek. He is from Netherlands. And he was living in between 1632 and 1723, and he is not a scientist or anything. He's the kind of person who works for the H&M now, apparel person. But he loved to picking in anything that he can hands on with his personally made microscope. What do you think? What do you think the food that he found the bacteria at the first time? In his house. It's around the medieval time in a European country. What do you think? What kind of food do you think? Yes. Not a cheese. It's a liquid. And maybe like a couple of hours, some of you would like to drink. Wine, maybe 4 to 6 hours later. It's bubbly, but it's a liquid. It's a liquid. Anybody? Anybody? Beer, yes, yes. In the medieval time, wives in each house would handily, craftily made the beer. They were making beer at home. So Antoine Leeuwenhoek's house probably have a really activated, bacteria activated beer barrel. So when he picked in, that was the first bacteria was found in the world. All right, so fermentation is really, really good, but how good it is. The top 3, the green Shoko, is what is going up, what is going to be good up for the food itself. And those 2, the yellow Shoko, is what is going to be good for us in our body. So the green Shoko, shelf life, nutrients, and taste. When I cook soybeans, just leave it at the counter, kitchen counter for about a week, it's going to be rotten. But the same cooked soybeans mixed with the koji, about a year later, it will become a miso. So the shelf life exponentially get longer. And the nutrients, just eating the cooked beans versus miso, during the fermentation, there are a lot of good stuff coming out. So the nutritional wise, it goes better. And the taste, just the cooked beans versus miso, obviously miso tastes good. So 3 good things going up through the food. Absorption and intestinal health is good for us. Absorption. Fermentation is basically breaking down the components of the food into the smaller molecules. So as we take as a beans versus to the miso, our body would be able to absorb all those good stuff much more quicker and without taking so much of our energy in our stomachs. So better absorption. And intestinal health, because all those good things like essential amino acid, vitamin B's, folic acids, all those like dietary fibers comes out, is really, really good for your intestinal health. So you will be able to, digest well. So then your bloodstream gets better, your complexion's gonna get better. It's really, really good for you. So the fermentation, a fermented food of the world. Anybody, fermented food of the world? Anything? We got cheese, beer, and wine now. Anything else? Anything? Kimchi, yes, yes. Anything else? Yes, sir. Huh? Meat? Well, cured meat. Yes, cured meat. Yes. Anybody over here? Fermentation food of the world? Huh? Yogurt. Yes, yes. Really? That's it? Really? I thought you guys were coming from the food industry. Give me some more. Anything else? Huh? Kombucha. Yes, yes, yes. That's fairly new in the market. All right, okay, I will give you some answers. All right, cheese, wine, bread. Bread is actually the most eaten fermented food in the world. Yogurt, kimchi, and the fish sauce. Nata de coco. Do you know nata de coco, what it is about? It's a kind of like a gummy textured, coconut flavored thing. It is just the textures coming out from the fermentation. In Japan, it's originated in the Philippines, and the distributor that in Japan buys it from the Philippines is sort of like, used with the syrup or the yogurt. So we tend to eat this as a dessert, but originated a place in the Philippines, they eat like sashimi. So it's very, very different. So sauerkraut is a German cabbage dish. It uses lactic acid to further fermentation. Stinky tofu from the China. I have super gross story, but I'm not going to tell you today. Kibiak is the one that I just talked to you about, the liquefied bird gut coming, drink it from the anus. Shoestremming is the stinkiest food in the entire world. And how stinky that is? So natto is pretty stinky, but for the stinky unit, natto is probably about 450 units stinky. And this kiviak is about 800 stinky unit. Shoestrumming, 8,000 over. It's unbelievably stinky. And I do this seminar and along with other workshops in Japan a lot. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, wait. Sorry. Okay. So when I do that in Japan, a lot of my customer approach me. It's like, let's open it. So we do that once a week, once a year. So this is me. This shoestremming is super, super strong fermentation. It's a sardine in a can. And this one, well, once you kind of like have an air hole, it would just, like liquid comes out. So I don't want to get myself super stinky and getting back on the train, Tokyo train, and go back. That's just a nuisance. So I'm wearing everything disposable. And top of that, I put the can in the bag so that I would not get splashed over. This one is very much further fermentation, so it's kind of liquefied. But how we eat it, it's a simple cracker with like chopped onion, diced tomato is suggested by it's a Norwegian. It's a Norwegian food. And when you see the can, it says, do not open in the house and do not stand down the wind. Yeah, so it's very, very, very stinky. I don't even know how to describe. It's like sewage with fresh ammonia with some dead animal. Super stinky. And this is me, first time eating shoestrumming. Honestly, the taste is not horribly bad. It's like really, really old pickles with, it's just really bad smell. So like if you just do this and eat it, you can take it. I only can take it once a year, but I can take it. But the thing is that though, because this is super strong, anything that I eat the next 3-4 days, when I burp, this one comes back. So that's how strong the smell is. But Swedish love it. Oh, by the way, I buy this at the Amazon, but currently not really available. And I think there are a few manufacturers available, but one of the biggest one recently blown up. Their factory got blown up. And not just because they were so stinky, it's some electrical, difficulty or something. Yeah, stink is not going to make a fire. But anyway, so because fermentation is greatly rely on the bacteria, once they lose their bacteria, they won't be able to reproduce unless they found some of their cans. Anyway, fermented food in Japan, anything, ma'am?
Is that like a festival?
It's just our own thing that we do in Japan. Mm-hmm. Anything, fermentation in Japan, fermented food in Japan. Anybody? Sake, thank you. I probably not gonna go any place unless somebody would say sake. Miso, yes. Anything else? Anything else? Natto, yes. Soy sauce, absolutely. Anything else? That's about it? Well, let's see a little answer. Soy sauce, miso, sake, dried bonito. I think there is a dried bonito company here today. And there is actually fermented dry bonito, non-fermented dry bonitos. And fermented dried bonito is called honkarebushi or karebushi, and that means that there is a fermentation going on. Otherwise, it's just a dried bonito. And I'm not sure the honkarebushi and the karebushi is available in the United States because it's a bacteria fermented fish, even though it's dry. But the price-wise, very different. Very, very expensive. So if you have a chance to travel over to Japan, I suggest to pick up some and snuggle into your suitcase. Nukazuke, natto, amazake, today's topic. Funazushi is the fish picture right on the corner, and that is the very original version of the sushi today. This one evolves into the style of sushi. And kuzumuchi is this picture right down here. It's a Japanese sweet treat. And this one takes about a year and a half to 2 years of fermentation. But once it's ready to sell, expiration day is only 2 days. So in the Edo era, around the Tokyo area, we have about 200 companies to make this, but now only 6 or 8 available. So that's another treat that you might want to try out for the fermentation when you travel over to Japan. All right, so we just looked at the world fermentation and Japan fermentation. And what I really want you to see is that fermentation only takes with the bacteria, mold, or yeast. And when you see the world fermentation only takes one agent, either bacteria or yeast, and rarely in the cheese world, blue cheese would take a blue mold, and the white cheese, like a camembert, would take some white mold, and that's pretty much about it. But when you see at the Japanese fermentation, we use all the 3 agents. And because that we have a mold, Koji mold, lactic acid will be activated and the yeast can be activated. So because of the Koji mold, Japan had its own development, a very unique development of the fermentation culture. So what's Koji? Koji is the mold, just like, in the broader sense, the same mold growing into your winter boots and all those like water area in your house. It's the same family. But the Koji mold is originated in Japan and found in the straw of the rice. And long time ago, probably close to 2,000 years ago, like rain falls and this Koji mold will grow into the rice, and sort of like naturally fermentation happened. That's how the sake is made. And because, like we just talked about, the Japanese fermented food, like soy sauce, miso, mirin, sake, rice vinegar, is all made out of koji. So Japanese government decided to recognize koji as a national mold in 2006. I know, it's crazy, right? It's a mold. And so now, amazake. What is amazake? So there are 2 types of amazake available. Amazake that we were serving today, back there in the little corner, please come over and taste some of our variation of the amazake today, is a non-sugar, non-alcoholic amazake. And there's another one, sake-ri amazake, which is like, sake-ri is a byproduct of the sake. And this doesn't have any sugar contents anymore, so we add any types of sugar. I love honey, personally, and because it's already fermented to make the alcohol, it has a little bit of alcohol contents to it. And when you make this amazake with the sake-ri, you apply the heat, so most of the alcohol will be evaporated. But if you be careful, you would not want to, feed to your child or the sick person. And Koji amazake has much, much longer history. We have been drinking this since the Edo era, 1700s. And why we call it amazake is that the sake maker we usually make our sake during the winter time. But we have koji in the summertime, so we make this to sell it for the summer business. All right, so I'm going to be talking about the mechanism of the koji fermentation. And one of the wonderful things about the koji fermentation is the koji has over 100 different kinds of enzyme to be able to release. And I'm going to talk about how that happens in the next slide. So rice. What's the main component of the rice? Anybody? Main component. Carbohydrate. Yes, carbohydrate is the main component. So when you see at the rice, the carbohydrate in the microscope, carbohydrate is the sort of like chained up molecules. It's a large unit, is the carbohydrate. And we will grow koji mold onto this carbohydrate, and so the koji mold will release amylase enzyme. It's a special scissors, only cuts the carbohydrates. So chop, 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 cut like longer chain of the carbohydrate into glucose, then that's the sweetness. And I think the staff member passed around the amazake to your table. Please have a taste. Yes, very, very sweet. See? It's very, very sweet, and it's simple conversion of the carbohydrate of the rice to the glucose by the amylase released by the koji. So that's why this is non-sugar. And there is no yeast to it, so there is no alcohol fermentation. And once we add the yeast, the liquid comes out as the sake. But we don't do the separate fermentation, sweet fermentation and the alcohol fermentation happening at the same time in the same tank. That's how we make sake. All right, so the rice koji fermentation has so many good stuff coming out. Especially, these are the good ones that I would like to mention. Complex vitamin Bs. We need vitamin Bs to be able to metabolize ourselves, to break it down, all those, rice or bread, pasta that you eat, or meat and fish and fats and proteins and all those things needs to take the vitamin Bs to be taken care of. And glucose, and it is a sugar, but it's really, really good formation of the glucose. So when you drink a sugary drink, the sugar go into the bloodstream right away, so you have really high and then have a sugar crash. But amazake usually takes about 2 hours to start affecting into your bloodstream. So I would suggest to take it in the morning, especially when you have a special customer coming over in the morning time, or like me, morning presentation. I would definitely take in the morning time. And of course, because of the vitamin Bs, you want to have the vitamin Bs for your lunch and dinner. And that's why you want to have it in the morning as well. Essential amino acid, what it does is to help rejuvenate your cells to recreate. So more you have, more clear skin that you have. So it's a drinkable beauty essence. And when you are feeling little under the weather, you're not feeling so well, you don't want to have any food, take amazake. It's really, really good set of the nutrients that your body needs. Folic acid is extremely important things for the young women who might want to bear a child or breastfeeding. So this is something really nice way to take it instead of unknown pills. And as you take straight amazake, it's extremely sweet. So not just drink straight out, but you can mix with any types of milk that you like, tomato juice, matcha and almond milk that we were serving at our table today. Or you can make any desserts as a replacement of the sugar, or any types of food that needs the sugar. So this would be concluding my Amazake seminar. Thank you so very much for coming, and I will be around here and at my booth if you have any more questions. Thank you so much.